Hello, everybody. I have here with me David Cook, and he is a home inspector with Paragon Inspections, and we're going to talk all about them. So welcome to the program, David.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's talk a little bit about your background, if you wouldn't mind. I mean, we know you're a home inspector, but you have quite a bit of bragging rights as well. Tell us more.
Yes, when I was very young, my mother bought a 100-year-old house, and I got stuck with renovating it. And don't ask me about the wiring at that there. But from there, I got into the construction industry, and I spent about 25 years actual in construction. And then after that, I started looking around, and I actually was certified as a bricklayer, but I've built houses, new houses, renovated more 100-year-old houses. But then I started taking courses to become a home inspector over the years. And about 10 years ago, I actually started full-time as a home inspector.
Right.
I've looked at about 4,000 houses since then.
Just.
That's about it. When people drive down the street, yeah, I've been there. Yeah, I've been there. Yes, been there in that house.
Well, 10 years is certainly qualifies you because I'm sure you've seen it all. But I think it's important to mention that your construction background also gives you great insight. It's just a natural progression as far as I'm concerned in terms of doing home inspection. But I also want to make sure that we mention the fact that you also had the opportunity to be on the board of the Ontario Association of Home Inspectors. Can you touch upon that a little bit?
Yes, I joined that association a while back, and then for a few years, 4 years actually, I was on the board. 3 years before that, I actually was on their education committee.
Okay.
But then I joined the board. I was on there for 4 years, and I have been off for about a year now. But at the same time, I chair the disciplinary committee, and it is the one association in Ontario currently with government-recognized credentials. It's under a private members bill that was passed in 1994.
Okay.
So that has been operated. However, a lot of people felt that there was a need for other changes. So right now, the Ontario government has been working toward making some changes, which is toward licensing of home inspectors.
Okay, so wait a minute, David. You've just kind of knocked me off my chair here. Licensing of inspectors. So are not all home inspectors licensed?
There's no such thing as licensed right now. And actually, if you go to buy a house right now, every person that is involved in that transaction has a license, a certification, except for home inspectors. Right now, if you wanted to, do you have a business card? You could just write home inspector on the back of it. You can legally call yourself a home inspector.
Okay, so this is something that I know everybody is just kind of going, wait, hey, hang on, because we talk about qualified home inspectors.
That's right.
But you're right, we do not use the term licensed, certified home inspectors. We say qualified. And we have a list, and of course, such as yourself, of what we know as the top people in the industry that go in and they look, they do everything they can to tell the new homeowner what it is that they're buying. It's really about learning about the home and understanding what you are purchasing first and foremost. But you're telling me that there is no organized body or where you have to take an exam or show your abilities by physically actually demonstrating. You don't have an articling phase. It literally is, I can actually become one?
I have been doing an inspection and mentioned that to real estate agents. They have gone online and taken this online exam. While I was doing an inspection, they walked out as a certified home inspector. My wife took that online exam. In 24 minutes, she passed with 96%.
Wow.
Technically, now she can call herself a certified home inspector.
So talk about the insurance component, because one of the things we make mention of for everybody is when we refer, and people in the industry, the real estate industry, when they refer a home inspector, a qualified home inspector, we touch upon the fact that they are insured. So that when they're coming on the premise and they're there to do their job, if anything were to go wrong while they are actually there, they are insured. Is that not correct?
Nope. I find in my role, I have some inside information because I was on the board, looked at figures all the time, as well as the chair of the disciplinary committee, like I mentioned. And I find that still currently, there's approximately 70% of inspectors in the industry do not have insurance. And if they're a member of what is called an association, many times their association will direct them, well, you get your client to sign a waiver before you start the inspection that advises them you do not have
any
insurance.
rights to come back. Oh, that you don't have insurance.
That you do not have insurance. So this way they go in knowing, and bottom line is, if you're in business professionally you should be insured.
Right. And again, most of the people that are out there doing this and do well at it, it's because they have the full credentials, they have incredible reputations. Realtors are out there promoting and using or recommending to their clientele. They usually give a few names to say, here you go, you can vet out which one, suits your needs. And certainly, because not all the time do you need a full home inspection, they may request that they don't want to have the well and the septic checked, depending on your location. I mean, you're up in rural area as well, you understand this. But certainly they take it upon themselves to hire the home inspector, but realtors are out there recommending them all the time. But the people that are being recommended fundamentally have been in business like yourself for significant period of time, have incredible reputations, and more importantly, are insured. So I just want to remind everybody, we have here in studio David Cook, and he is a very qualified home inspector with Paragon Inspections. And there are certainly changes that are being attempted and they're working towards, and that's what we're talking about. And it's the organization's the Ontario Association of Home Inspectors, which you are a proud member of. And more importantly, you're saying that people can get an exam online, they can write it, and they can basically now put on their business card that they're a home inspector without any type of real proof of ability. There's no article phase. This is something I can assure you I'm miffed about, and I bet you everybody watching and listening is going to be a little confused as well. So we don't have the term before home inspector licensed, certified. What we typically say is qualified. And as realtors out there doing purchase and sale agreements, typically we'll put in the actual clause that it can't be their brother, their uncle, or, a lot of times they'll just say that I want to come and inspect the place before I, just as one of my conditions. But most people are smart enough, they actually put now the term qualified home inspector.
Correct.
Does that even mean anything when we put that in there?
To a certain extent, as you mentioned, your realtor, if they are looking after your interests, they should know by now a good home inspector or a few that they can rely on that do have the proper qualifications. Currently in Ontario, the only government recognition with the OHI.com is the website. And they do use the term registered home inspection. Registered home inspector, RHI. That is your ultimate. But as you said, know everything. If anybody says, I've seen it all, as soon as I see that, the next day I go into a house and I go, oh, I have not seen that before. So we emphasize ongoing education, such as next weekend, March 6th, 7th, 8th, 2015. The Ontario Association of Home Inspectors is holding their annual conference and education. It's an education conference for home inspectors, which is open to the public. And I'm always encouraging home inspectors, seasoned or new, get there. You will learn something new because just talking to other inspectors, they're going to give you ideas, different things, more education. Nobody can ever have too much education in this area.
It's been a privilege on our side because we've had many home inspectors come on the show, and they're all about educating, and they're all about making sure that people have a good understanding of what to look for and the questions to ask when hiring a home inspector. So before we go to break, I'm going to ask you that question. So really, what are some of the most important things that we should be asking, whether they've been recommended by a realtor or somebody but what should we be asking any home inspector before we hire them to make sure that they're qualified for the job?
First and foremost to me, what's your experience?
Okay.
Do you actually have construction experience? For me to say, no, I got laid off at Honda yesterday, so today I'm a home inspector, you might want to move to the next person. Ask, do they have insurance? That is a very big ticket with many. Ask, can you accompany the home inspector and ask questions during the inspection? If they tell you, no, go sit in the corner, I'll give you this information later, that's something to bypass. What kind of a report? Do you get a full written report? Those are some of the most important things. If somebody tells you that they'll send you the report later or just hand you a couple sticky notes or tells you take some notes yourself, that might be an inspection to pass.
All right. Now, David, before we go to break, is there some sort of website where the qualified home inspectors are recognized? Is there somewhere we can go to make sure that these people have not had any problems? And because I know in the realtor world, of course, listen, anybody that misbehaves, we can find it out. It's out there immediately, so we can verify. But is there such a thing to find the best home inspectors, and more importantly, those that are on what we call that misbehaved list?
We do not have a misbehaved list currently.
Okay.
If you do go to the OAHI.com, the Ontario Association of Home Inspectors, you will find my credentials there. You will find me.
Okay.
And it will tell you if I'm a member in good standing. It won't say, Dave Cook has had this many complaints. We don't do that.
But it's verifying that you indeed
yes.
are a qualified home inspector.
That's exactly what it is. And after being on the chair of the disciplinary committee for the last 5 years, I can certainly tell you that there are very, very few complaints against the members that are really valid. And actually, one of the biggest complaints is that people misrepresent themselves, stating that they are a member of the OHI.
And they aren't.
When they are not.
All right. You know what? We're going to take a short break, everybody. David, when we come back, we're going to actually talk, and I think we're going to go through a checklist for people just to make sure that they are hiring the most qualified, reputable home inspector. And you know what? Lots of information here, everybody. So take a quick break. If you have any questions, remember, you want to, of course, reach out to us, realestatetalkshow.ca, or you can call our help desk anytime at 844-ASK-RETS. That's 844-ASK-RETS. We'll be right back.